Good evening, madam. Madam, good evening. Am I audible, madam?
Yeah, audible. Good evening.
Good evening, all the participants. Welcome back to day 4 ATAL FDP on Artificial Intelligence in Healthcare, Intelligent Systems and Applications for Modern Medical Needs. Today we have distinguished resource person Dr. Sonali Agarwal with us. She is a professor in the Department of Information Technology at the Indian Institute of Information Technology, Allahabad. With more than 20 years of experience in teaching, research, and academic administration, she has been associated with IIT Allahabad since 2009. Her research interests include big data analytics, data mining, stream analytics, software engineering, and applied machine learning. In recent years, her work has focused on multimodal learning, visual analytics, explainable AI, and data driven decision support systems. She has strong hands on expertise with platforms such as Apache Spark, Apache Flink, and Esper, and has supervised a large number of PhD, postgraduate, and undergraduate research scholars. Professor Sonali Agarwal has published over 150 research papers in reputed international journals and conferences and has been actively involved in several national and international research collaborations. She has participated in funded international research programs in the UK and Switzerland and has also contributed to Erasmus funded international academic and research projects, supporting cross border collaboration and capacity building. She is a member of IEEE, ACM, and CSI and continues to play an active role in curriculum development, faculty development programs, and mentoring early career researchers. We are delighted to have her to share her expertise with us today. I now hand over the session to the madam. Ma'am, kindly go ahead with the session, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. So I'm delighted to have this opportunity. Today, the theme of my session is NLP in healthcare from clinical notes to chatbots. So in this particular session, I will be sharing my learning experience, research experience, and some of the exposure towards NLP applications, NLP uses in various research projects which we are ongoing. So I have divided this session into these topics. Like I will be starting with introduction, and then I will be taking healthcare data scenarios and its challenges. Then I will be discussing NLP pipeline for healthcare applications. Then some pinpointed NLP task in healthcare is also here. And finally, to take the recent developments, I have included clinical prompt engineering and conversational AI and chatbot applications. And I will be discussing some of my recent research publication, which is based on NLP as well as healthcare domain. So let us start with some of the basic things. So I hope that you all are agree that these healthcare data is available everywhere. So basically, we can see that it is all in terms of various clinical notes. It is all in terms of various EHR. We are also dealing with a lot of research publications based on medical imaging And based on various modalities of medical imaging, we are also flooded with IoT data, especially in the healthcare domain. And there are a lot of biomedical exposure these days. So many labs are generating day-to-day data. So basically, you can understand that health data is very, very emerging as one of the digital resource. So the thing is like how to manage these health data in various aspects. So whenever it comes to health data, you all will see like health data is full of diversity. So like they have healthcare domain expertise, they have various formats of data, that is structured, unstructured, or semi-structured. If we talk about image modalities, so we have images of different modalities, like we have CT scans, we have PET, other very advanced PET scans, we have X-rays, we have some different medical imaging things. So basically, it is very hot topic nowadays, like how we are going to utilize all such type of data availability for various purposes. So this particular session is based on the same which we are discussing here. So we have to also learn like how our technology is means how we can get helped by the NLP thing. So for example, like in the past scenarios, you can see like there are so many very common expectations which we have. Like suppose if we are dealing with some healthcare organization, so definitely the one very common expectation is the digitization part. So digitization, it needs like a lot of digital conversion of manual records. It can also include the digitization of conversation with the patient. It can also include digitization of pathology reports. It can also not only digitization is required, but also the integration of various and diverse formats of these type of files are also required. So how we can deal with all those things? So basically, natural language processing is one of the prime area where we can get all those problems sorted up to the most possible level. So we will be discussing here like how the NLP is helping us in various tasks of healthcare domain. So to start with, let us have a very quick recap of natural language processing, that is NLP. So as the AI is one of the very hot topic these days, so AI is having one very promising component, that is NLP. So here we are trying to empower our machines or our algorithms or our programs or our applications to understand, to interpret, and to generate human languages. So most of the applications are nowadays, they have NLP as one of the core components. So we want that our application should understand the human language. So it can be a speech related understanding, or it can be a document related understanding, or it can be like whatever data we want to feed, it should able to understand. Our application should able to understand. So it can have multiple modalities. For example, like we want our speech to get understand. We want our like textual for information in various file formats to get properly interpreted. So basically, we are dealing with the structured data, unstructured data, and some semi-structured data also. So if you see like how the NLP is working, so NLP is basically combining the linguistic, computer science, and machine learning techniques. So here the purpose of the NLP part is to generate more powerful decisions, to have more impactful machine learning algorithms in terms of end users' expectations. So NLP is basically the bridge between human language and machine intelligence. If we talk about like how this NLP is helping us in terms of various market practices. So you can see that this is the data which I have taken from the CAGR report. So basically, right now, the North America is having the leading position in terms of NLP market growing, and you can say that it is continuously growing. And here, it is not only the component of natural language generation, but also the named entity recognition. So all these methodologies are uh, driving the overall research domain. So basically, the NLP is one of the very fast growing market in terms of data driven decision making. So we can also see what are the another applications which are underneath NLP, and that is very fast moving or very fast progressing. So here these days, genomics and precision medicines, these are some of the subcomponent of healthcare where they are very much accelerating through the power of NLP. And if we talk about the industries, so you can realize that all the industries, they are having the NLP related research domains, but major players are IBM, Google, Microsoft, so or AWS. So they are basically looking for very intensive use of NLP in their various tools which we are using on our day-to-day platform. So basically, NLP is something which is in isolation, it is a very strong domain. But even suppose if we are using data analytics or machine learning or maybe any user interface development, for all those such type of domains, also NLP is one of the key component. So if our focus is towards the healthcare data, so let us understand like how the healthcare data is having some specific key characteristics which we are trying to get better addressed through our NLP techniques. So maybe we are having like clinical research documents, we have regulatory documents, we have lot of literature available, we have some kind of medical artifacts, medical report artifacts like various clinical reports or maybe images and some health policy documents. So basically, these are the data which we are having, and these data are very much unstructured. You can understand like these documents, they are not following standard format, they are non-relational type, they are majorly of document type, and even the documents are having very diverse structure. So ultimately, if we are preparing a combined knowledge base, or if we are taking this knowledge base for certain set of decision making, we need lot of preparation. So NLP is the tool where we can prepare our data for some next level task for faster decision making. So this is just an idea about the clinical language. So you can understand like we are very much familiarized that the medical prescriptions, even if it is a handwritten prescriptions, these are very difficult documents. Sometimes like manual reading is also very difficult. And you can also see like if there are various medical organizations, so if they are using certain medical documentation, so they have some specific constraints. So for example, like they have very domain specific terminologies, and they are sometimes written in a shorthand way, like they are a lot of abbreviations are under practice, lot of shortcuts are there, and sometimes the incomplete sentences are there. So maybe those who are regular practitioners, maybe your pharma people or maybe your medico experts, they can understand with some very minimal description. But suppose if we want to learn or if we want to train our machines, so maybe that incomplete sentences and then that kind of domain specific terminologies, it is very difficult to train our models or train our machines for those particular type of things. So basically these are the variety of you can say that discriminations which are available in terms of knowledge representation when we talk about the clinical representation. So basically the clinical language is not an easy entity. It is something which is a complex entity with a lot of variations and lot of assumptions, as well as some kind of you can say that they have some very specific way of writing the things, and that is something which make this whole task more challenging. And some of the linguistic challenges also you can admire, like if we are trying to train our model, so it should understand beyond whatever it is directly you can say that understandable. So sometimes like the meanings are hidden, they are more contextual things, and the representation of the context may have their own limitations. Sometimes you can say that it is very much temporal dependent thing, so we need to understand. Sometimes negation may be there, and that can be a confusing thing. So basically we can say that even if we are having some kind of description available, getting the correct meaning of those description, that can be one of the linguistic challenge, which is a very serious issue related to the healthcare text. Then the another issue about the healthcare data is privacy and data access challenge. So you can understand, like if you are developing any application, definitely you need data, and the data is more mainly it is a clinical data or patient data. And for the complete pipeline, you can understand that the data has to be shared. So who is the right person to get our data? It is something, it is like it is a very big and very serious concern, very serious question. So maybe we need to prepare some kind of guidelines, some kind of authentic mechanism, so that the data which we are like owning, it should get properly shared. So there is a very serious need of developing some kind of you can say that standards, governance policies, and some kind of risk profiling, and some kind of digital footprint, so that whatever data we are having, that should be managed properly, that should be shared in a secure environment, and that has to be utilized with full responsibility. So these are the challenges. So to have all those things, there are certain standards which we need to follow. So one is like PHI, that is the Protected Health Information Guidelines. So here the protected health information includes demographic information, medical records, and our healthcare provider records, and then we have the insurance information, then we have other identifiers. So basically all those things which are related to our personal uses of personal our personal exposure with the healthcare domain, that this all comes under PHI, and that has to be managed well. Then it's not about developing a solution, but it is also about taking all these precautionary measures, so that ultimately we can develop a secure solution. So whenever the healthcare domain is a concern, whenever there is NLP part is the concern, these are something which are like default requirements. So we need to follow some guidelines of security and privacy in order to move ahead with any kind of data application development. So the one important background point is like why NLP is required specifically or as a separate domain to learn and to exercise, because when we handle such type of heterogeneous data, like medical domain data is a heterogeneous data, traditional data analytics are like they have very limited power. So means most of the traditional data analytics methods, they are comfortable with the structured data, tabular data, or some kind of fixed schema. But since the clinical data is highly unstructured, mostly context dependent, and they have variety of representations, so our traditional data analytics is not fit for this particular purpose. Similarly, we also understood that understanding the correct linguistic meaning is also very sensitive here. So that is also one of the concern where we cannot simply rely upon traditional data analytics method. uh, so initially, how we started with some kind of a rule based approach and keyword driven approach, but you can understand that rule based approach are not scalable. And these days, when we are flooded with the data, then definitely we want more powerful approaches so that we can understand the health data, and accordingly we can use it for various purposes. So you can see that there are, to conclude with, we can understand that NLP is facing several challenges in terms of healthcare domain. So it is there are very typical keywords, there are multiple meanings of the keywords, then the keywords are sometimes contextually different, like a collection of keywords are representing different context, and there is a very separate medical grammar, like the way of writing is different, the way of representation is different, it is full of acronyms, abbreviations, and it is very much context dependent. So basically these are the challenges. So that's what we can say, that NLP along with medical domain is it is a separate track where so many additional issues are there, or additional factors are there, which we need to learn and which we need to understand. So lastly, we want that whatever healthcare end users are there, they should understand the final outcome. They should get the final outcome. So basically, the final outcome is nothing but, in a very bare minimum thing, we can expect that it should represent some kind of dashboard, and that dashboard should clearly indicate the underlying information, maybe our health parameters, maybe summary thing, or maybe some kind of statistics. So if we are targeting such type of human understandable solutions, so to represent such type of results, we need a very strong work in foundational level or in background level. Then only we can come up with these things. So that is all about the background part, where we understood that what are the challenges, and how we can proceed with all those challenges, and how we can make our deliverable more accurate, more authentic, and more trustworthy for the end users. So here, now I am moving to the next part, that is the NLP pipeline. So you can see in this particular sentence, as a first goal of NLP is, like, the prime thing is we want to convert our natural language to some understandable representations which machine can process. So in a very straightforward way, we can identify certain pipeline components to understand the NLP steps. So first is the sentence segmentation, second is the word tokenization, then stemming, that lemmatization, and then we have to identify the stop words. Then we are going to parse the data with some kind of some identification of dependency. Then we will be following the POS tagging. Then we will be identifying the entities, and then finally the chunking part. So you can see that NLP is not a single model. It is a pipeline where every stage is having some specific challenge, and the output of one is actually propagating all the outcome to the next level. So if there are errors at early stages, you can say that the performance is consequently going to degrade. So basically, the each and every stage is very important for our proper processing. So the first important part in this pipeline is to facilitate proper data acquisition. So you can understand, we have already observing like data is having multimodal representation. So multimodal representation means we have molecular data, we have omics data. So basically, these data are core biological representation of genomic, proteomic, and cellular levels. So that is one domain, a very, very different domain. But they have a very good share of data representation. Then we have clinical data. So clinical data is all about our day-to-day exposure with the healthcare domain. Then we have imaging data. So imaging data is also having various levels, like we have microscopic images, we have optical images, we have molecular images, we have functional imaging, we have anatomical imaging. So basically, we have different level of images. And even in clinical data, we have different level of like different type of clinical data representation. So basically, we are trying to develop a decision making platform where there is a possibility that we need to integrate all those modalities, or at least few of these modalities together to get a complete picture. So this is the challenge of data acquisition part. So let us assume that once the data is available with us in any of these possible ways, then how to proceed with this? So basically, the next step is the tokenization process. So here we are splitting the raw text into smaller unit that is called a token. And as we said that if the data is our natural representation, so it can be words, it can be subwords, it can be numbers, symbols, or characters. So we are converting that these text into the form of some usable entities. So tokenization is for this particular purpose. So basically, it is identifying each and every useful component. So basically, suppose this is your input text. So here through tokenization, we are identifying every component, like this is BP, this is the measurement, and then patient is one entity, and this is the another entities, and so on. So basically, this is the first stage, and it is going to propagate to all our downstream NLP tasks. So if you are having any error at this stage, it is going to have serious consequences for the later stages. Then the another thing is sentence segmentation. So it is the task of identifying sentence boundaries, and it also determines where one sentence ends and then another sentence begin. And basically, most of our decision making, or maybe most of our processes are based at the sentence level. So basically, we identify each and every sentence, and then accordingly we take the decision, maybe the decision in terms of topic modeling, or maybe decision in terms of identification of the polarity. So again, if you are having some kind of error in this particular stage, so again that can be a poor representation of your context. So basically, after tokenization, we identify the sentence boundaries, and within that sentence boundary detection, there are certain features which are important. So the feature can be like your termination point, that is the period, the question mark, the exclamation mark, and then according to that we prepare the complete sentence list, and we try to compile all the context with that. So here there can be certain tools, like these days we have Hugging Face libraries. So they are basically supporting us for many of these features, like they have the rich libraries for the tokenization, for the sentence segmentation and all. So you can see that like this is the input text. So with this input text, we have the correct segmentation. So segmentation means we are dividing the sentences into the valid range, and that valid range can be with the help of some kind of termination markers. So if we are not doing this correctly, then there can be misinterpretation of the context which are there. So it is very important to identify the correct sentence boundaries, otherwise it will be having some kind of difficulties. Then we have the stop word handling techniques. So again, the stop word handling techniques are very useful because if we are not handling it properly, it can flip the clinical meaning of the sentence. Then we have lemmatization process. So it is basically it is the process of reducing words to their base or in the dictionary form. So basically we want to preserve the semantic meaning of the word. And so basically here we follow some kind of linguistic rules and vocabularies. Then we actually normalize the clinical language. So you can say that this is the original keyword, and here the diagnosed word will be replaced as diagnose. Infections word is replaced by infection. Antibiotics word will replace by antibiotic. Receiving is replaced by receive. So basically this is the way how we reduce the words so that we can get the base dictionary available with us to understand this. So this is the way how we use the lemmatization process. So basically it is going to reduce our vocabulary sparsity, and with the help of this we can get better identification of name entities, means entities, and we can have more prominent keywords availability so that it can support the text classification process, and it is also empowering our information retrieval steps. So this is the lemmatization thing. And the another keyword is the stemming part. So stemming is actually a brutal kind of you can say that it is actually cutting the word without understanding its meaning. So stemming is sometimes it is risky, and but lemmatization is something where the meaning is preserved and it is a more standard word to understand. Once we have these things, the next important step is the medical concept normalization. So medical concept normalization, you can see like it is some strong keywords which hold the overall context information. So for example, like mm, uh, see this particular text, like the patient has high blood sugar and was diagnosed with diabetes. So we know that high blood sugar and these diabetes, they are actually the important entities, and they are actually the important concepts which we need to identify, and they are highly related. So since they are highly related, they are indicating the same thing, we can map these two keywords with some medical terms so that it can be normalized. So basically we have different way of describing the things, maybe high blood sugar, maybe diabetes, maybe high glucose index, something like that. So all these indicators should get normalized in terms of certain medical keywords so that we can understand their meaning without any confusion. So so it is basically not only to identifying the critical entities but also making them more standard. So it will help for better interoperability and better decision support, and it is going to control our overall representation or overall vocabulary. Okay, so basically with the help of all those, we are going to get consistent representation, and we are also going to accommodate more and more documents from different platforms, from different hospitals, or from different way of formatting, and finally we can make them standard. So there can be existing vocabularies which we can follow, like unified medical language system we can follow, then SNOMED clinical technology terminologies we can follow. IC10 and ICD-11 are used for the same purpose, and RX norms are also having the standard keywords which map some of the related terms together in terms of some standard representation. So medical concept normalization is one term. Then the next important term in the NLP pipeline is feature representation. So feature representation means we represent our text into some numerical representation so that most of our machine learning models can process it. Okay, so here we need some techniques to convert the different kind of textual representation in terms of suitable semantic representation, and finally it is going to help us for our machine learning models. So these are some of the techniques, like we use bag of words or TF-IDF. So basically it count the number of occurrence of a particular word, or in terms of weighted frequencies, and then it in that way we can identify like some of the tasks. For example, like we can identify the prominence of any particular context. Maybe we can identify the prominent sentiment, or we can identify the particular topic within that particular context, like representation of the particular paragraph in terms of certain topics. So these things we can perform. The another representation is word embedding. So here we represent or we convert our words as a dense vector. So here we capture some kind of semantic similarities, and then with the help of that semantic similarity, we represent the vectors equivalent to the words in all the context. So that is also one of the step where we have word to vec approach or globe approach. And then we are also following the contextual embedding techniques. So here we also understand like under what context which word is having what kind of indications. So maybe the different vectors for the same word based on their different context. So that is also important. But it is something which is challenging thing, because sometimes our previous rule based models, they are not capable enough to understand the context which are underlying within a particular word. So that is also one of the techniques. So transformer based models, which are the recent development in NLP, and it is a big breakthrough development in NLP that is providing us these type of things. Okay, so basically here we can say like you can just see this example, like no evidence of pneumonia. So pneumonia is something which is one entity, but the word no is changing the complete meaning. So here contextual embedding means we need to understand the negation context. So pneumonia is prominent, but this no word is having the entirely different representation. So that kind of understanding, that is the negation context, which we need to interpret it correctly so that we can understand the whole meaning of the clinical text. So these kind of tasks are supported by the contextual embedding, and for this particular purpose we are using the scikit-learn libraries, word2vec or globe, or maybe we can have the pre-trained model these days, which I am discussing later here in this. They are also very much supporting. So basically the feature representation determines how much clinical meaning a model can actually see. Then lastly, we need to train our model. So for training purpose, we have variety of categories like supervised learning, transfer learning, or multitask learning, or maybe learning followed by parameter tuning. So these are various kind of training techniques are available. So here we need to understand that in NLP we have certain specified categories of tasks. Like sometimes we are classifying, sometimes we are performing topic modeling, sometimes we are performing summarization, sometimes we are trying to understand the polarity. So basically there are different specific type of task, and for all these specific type of tasks different models are recommended. So for example, like for classification, mostly we follow the name entity recognition as one of the uh, prime, you can say that one of the most important step of the classification. And for topic modeling we follow unsupervised way of learning. And we also see like if we can use the pre-trained model, so that is transfer learning. So basically we have different types of model training options available. So lastly, we have to evaluate our work. So for evaluation, the conventional metrics are like precision, recall, F1. But here we also take like a ROG and ROC with accuracy. So basically, we also try to understand how efficiently the summarization has been completed and how the risk prediction has been taken care. So basically, this is very, very important. Now, one thing which I want to highlight here, like whenever we say about the healthcare domain, the evaluations are not enough. Basically, we need to do validations. So for validation purpose, some extra measures are required. So basically for the validation purpose, we need to simulate the whole clinical setting along with our approaches. And then that simulator is only possible if we are understanding each and every context properly. And that level of effectiveness, that level of outcome is only possible if we are interpreting all the context correctly, if we are interpreting all our inputs correctly. So that clinical validation is something which is very, very typical task, but with the help of efficient NLP techniques we can make it possible, we can make it more reachable. So that is all about the NLP pipeline. Now I will be taking some core NLP task in healthcare domain. So one, as we have seen, that is name entity recognition. So basically it is identifying each and every entities which are meaningful in terms of clinical way. So for example, like diseases, symptoms, drugs, procedures, or maybe some very special keyword. And it is something which make our unstructural representation more understandable. And it is it is one of the foundational tasks for our next stage. And so you can see here like a patient, or like you can say that disease, or you can say that drug. So these are basically a way to represent the clinical entities. If we talk about the NLP methods for healthcare domain or in journal, so the first conventional technique was linguistic rules. So linguistic rules means we identified certain set of rules or constraints where it was predefined grammatical pattern and some kind of constraints that was associated with each and every text. So it was just like extracting information and then correlating them with the help of certain constraints or rules, and then accordingly making the interpretation. But this is very much limited, because nowadays we have very vast representation of language, or we have diverse representation of the knowledge or the context or the data which we are having. So preparing the linguistic rules and making the rules standard, it is something which is not very easy. Then we have the statistical way of measuring the understanding the data or understanding the textual representation. So that is widely used in these days. Like in most of the machine learning model, it is something which is inbuilt, or it is something which is one of the component. So here we have the outcomes, or like we can able to classify the text, we can have sentiment analysis, we can identify the important entities. But still it has some limitations, like sometimes it is if we are having some data which is having very complex representation of any context, so that may not be very correct. So then later, to see the variety of the data, to understand the more diverse representation of multimodal data, the deep learning came into the picture. So deep learning was basically it was having the typical neural network representation at the beginning, and later it got rich with the RNN models and transformer models. And then it became more powerful in terms of language modeling, test classification. And here we have a vast amount of data which trained the model, and then we may able to get the things more particularly more personal way, or maybe more close to our requirements. So that become a very different way of working with the machine learning model. So NLP is having drastic change since last 10 to 15 years. So initially it was dealing with some very hardcore rules, or very strict grammars. Then it started with some kind of automatic language processing, but again having very strict representation of the grammatical things, and following the role. And later it started using some kind of symbolic approaches, or some kind of knowledge graphs or ontologies, so that some of the rules or components can be reorganized as per the particular domain. Then later RNN LSTM came into the picture. Then we started using multitasking learning, and then we started using pre-trained model through our attention mechanism and emergence of transformers. And nowadays you can see, like, most of the transformer based models, they are the like they are historical. You can say that they have changed the complete previous era. So it is something which is a very, very great achievement. Like through our Gen AI models, we are maximum utilizing our NLP thing. So NLP typically is more than the linguistic representation and analysis. So you can say that there are various categories of tasks which we are performing. So we are doing the tokenization part, that is basically the morphological analysis, where we are breaking the text into small units, and every small unit is actually a part of your regular expression, and it is indicating a particular information. Then we started with the lexical analysis, then we followed the synthetic analysis, then we followed the semantic analysis, and then lastly step by step, like first is to understand the words, then to understand the context, then to understand uh, uh, the detailed context that is suitable for the machine learning model. Then we converted it in terms of some meaningful information by using semantic grammar, and finally we may able to perform the reasoning part. So this is the way how our linguistic analysis is becoming more and more powerful, more and more rich over a period of time. So initially, it was thought that representation learning is something which is really a good achievement. But later, representation learning with language modeling will be the current picture. Will be it is the current picture. So basically, from n-gram models to distributional hypothesis, then distributional representation, and lastly the pre-trained language models. This is the way how our NLP representations evolved over a period of time, and we became more and more powerful in terms of dealing with the various NLP related tasks. So as you understand, like the distributed representation, how it becomes more rich, how it becomes more useful, because it included all the entities and structures together. So basically it is representing words, phrases, sentences as vectors in a very high dimensional space, where each dimension capture a different aspect of the meaning. So this is the way how we are representing the things in a more powerful manner. So it is representing the semantics of these language entities in a unified semantic space, and these unified semantic space can be identified with the help of geometric distance between two objects in the space, and that is actually known as semantic relatedness. So with the help of these unified representation, we are actually capable enough to understand various linguistic representations, and that is actually providing us the large scale domain data representation. So this is the way how we are dealing the NLP task at present through the distributed representation. Then word embedding is also one of the very key step which we are following. So basically we are trying to understand how two words are related. So basically we want to understand how the co-occurring words are important. So this is the way how we are trying to understand the context, to predict the context, and to generate the related meanings. So basically you can see that example, like we can easily understand that king is related with queen, or man is related with woman. So basically it is word embedding, means we are trying to understand the relationships. So nowadays we are having very fast implementation of these word embedding representation, and it is actually the backbone of the current era in terms of implementation of the transformer. So transformers are one of the model which are responsible for the current NLP applications. So basically the self-attention mechanism we have used. So it is actually weighing the importance of different input domains, and accordingly it is generating the output sequence. So it is different from the RNN. So RNN was simply representing the sequential possibility of the output. Here it is representing the next outcome with the help of certain weights which we are taking. So it is having a lot of effort in background. So basically we are having the pre-training step. So transformer models are trained on large amount of data, and we are also following the fine-tuning steps. So fine-tuning steps means we are also embedding the human annotated labels to a particular task, and it is having an encoder model and decoder model. So through encoder and through decoder we are trying to develop the complete pipeline. So encoder receives the input and it prepares the sequence of representations that are actually the features, and decoders are basically understanding the features to generate the target sequences. So basically this is the way, and all our NLP as well as the NLP, especially in the healthcare domain, they are utilizing the transformer models for various operations. So we can say that these transformer models are powerful in terms of model size. They are powerful in terms of handling large amount of data, and it is also uh, handling more and more parameters to get the full utilization of the pre-trained models. So they are big models. As an end result, in our NLP domain, we have received a BioBERT initially. So BioBERT was pre-trained on PubMed and biomedical literature. Then we had the clinical BERT. So this is for further pre-trained on clinical notes. Then we have PubMed BERT that is trained from scratch on biomedical text. Then we have Blue BERT. It is basically jointly trained on PubMed and clinical notes. And then lastly, we had this BioGPT and so on, like many more are continuously emerging. So they are actually more rich in terms of a clinical model. So with the help of all those, somehow we are in a very different era of healthcare NLP applications, that is clinical prompt engineering and conversational AI, as well as chatbots. So nowadays, like if you are using ChatGPT, so your expectation is like ChatGPT should able to answer all your questions based on your input, and the input can be your health indicators. So this is the latest application of the transformer based models, so that we can use our clinical tools by using suitable prompt engineering methods. So you can just remember this first exposure of Eliza. So Eliza was the conversational tool which came long back, and it was for the for some kind of discussion as a psychotherapist. So we can talk with Eliza, and then it can try to understand the problem, and maybe some with some very limited but some possible solution. So that was the first thing with limited capabilities. Nowadays, we are looking for more powerful, more personalized chatbots, so that they can truly understand our context, our problems, our concerns, and then accordingly behave more responsible towards the responses which we are going to get from them. So that was the beginning part, Eliza. Now it is the era of clinical prompt engineering. So the prompt which was related to the Eliza time, it was more about the pattern matching. So at that time, it was based on the pattern matching. So whatever we were giving that input, it is according to certain rules and constraints and pattern, it was trying to converge with us. But nowadays we are having large amount of data and pre-trained model. So basically these pre-trained models are getting more powerful, you can say that representation of the concerns which we are doing. So basically from initial level of prompt driven to modern clinical prompt engineering, where lot of measures have been already taken to protect our data, to address our concern maximum, to have more and more very strong pre-trained model. So that is altogether a very different era. So basically this Eliza was the first exposure towards writing some limited prompt, but now clinical prompt engineering is having very powerful uh, applications. So basically, clinical prompt engineering is the structured design of input to the to represent the LLM behavior in healthcare task. So it is especially trained in the clinical context, and it is utilizing the models based on the clinical consideration. So for example, like all the safety concerns are here, and it is providing us the reliable use of LLMs, and it is having various kind of already existing tools like GPTs are having their own variations of clinical prompt engineering utilization. So we are using that. Here the difference is like if we are developing applications based on the clinical prompt engineering, we need to focus on certain specific guidelines, like we have to be very explicit and specific for some kind of our context. So for example, like patient demographics, comorbidities and guidelines, and the output should not be generic. So that is the one important point. So the another important point is it should have repetitive refinements, so that we may become more pinpointed in terms of the output generation. And it should also understand the contextual relevance, because healthcare domain decision making is mainly context dependent. So that if the contextual understanding will be there, the output will be, which we will receive, they will be more accurate. So all those principles are there to be followed in the critical prompt engineering. And there are some kind of prompting techniques which we are using these days, like zero shot prompting. So zero shot prompting means maybe though it is a pre-trained model, but sometimes even without any example, it should able to answer the queries, it should able to generate the response. So that is the first case. Then one shot prompting, so we can have some exemplars, indicators available, and with the help of this only it should be able to respond. Then we have few shot prompting, so that can be more rich in terms of adding more diagnostic outcomes. And then we can also think about the chain of thought process, so where we can have more complex cases to get analyzed. And then obviously for more complex cases, some kind of validation may be required. So there are some advanced prompting techniques which we can follow, like self consistency prompting, or we can have the knowledge based prompting or meta prompting. So these all prompt techniques are going to make our conversational healthcare AI tools more versatile for various applications. Okay, so you can see that the prompt structures are we need to identify the prompt structures so that whatever context we are providing, it should be properly, you can say that, followed, and it should match the required criteria, and it can get the context in a more valid way, and accordingly it can able to respond. So this is one study related to the suitability of the prompting techniques. So we can see that meta prompting and self consistency promptings, they have received highest accuracy, but obviously on the cost of computational resources. So you can say that there is also very important to understand the trade-off. So with all those things, we can say that these days, like various NLP tools, they are still needs clinical validation, especially in the healthcare domain, because the uh, standards which has to be followed, they are not in very mature stage in that. So we need to follow those things, and the proper validation is definitely it is there. So this is the way how we are dealing with the risk. And though we are trying our best to get the compliances, GDPR compliances and PHI detection and compliances, but still the validation is something which is very, very key step, very important key step, that is still there, and the clinical validation is very much required. So Now, at the last, let us see what kind of healthcare chatbots are there. So, the healthcare chatbots are very much available, and the typical architecture of healthcare chatbots are like to provide user interface to have the NLP and dialogue understanding. Then, the clinical prompt engineering is one of the very important control layer. So, here we are understanding the task, we are understanding the clinical context, we are understanding the safety concern, and accordingly we are providing the structure output. And to get that skeleton of the output, we will be having the backbone of LLMs, we are having the backbone of clinical knowledge base. Clinical knowledge base are actually guidelines, actually ontologies, and RAG based models which are available. And finally, we have the safety and governance layer, where we are trying to control some of the parameters. So, for example, like personal health information protection, and then hallucination control, then handling the uncertainty part, and making it more close to the ground truth. And finally, we have the integration level layer, where we are trying to schedule, where we are trying to integrate all the different types of representational aspects, and trying to provide one window information or outcome as per the user interaction and expectation. So this is the GNAI progress. You can see like mm, n number of, you can see that n number of tools are emerging, and these tools are very very fast growing kind of thing. So so healthcare AI landscape is very rich nowadays. And this is something, this one, they are like after 2020, so you can see that how it is growing. So we can say that ultimately, whatever health applications we are developing, the chatbots are one of the integral part now. So one of the integral part, so that it can become our most handy device. So to deliver that type of chatbots, a lot of groundwork has to be performed, and these groundworks are having like a more complex NLP task as a requirement. It is having more complex uh, transformer based models, where the very high level of you can say that pre-trained representations are required. So it is in a we cannot say that it is in a very beginning phase, but yes, we can say that it is in the intermediate phase, where people started using it, but lot of dependency is not means the dependency is not there. We are following the parallel methods also. So you can see I got to know about these development, and basically these are the tools which are very recent tools. Like ChatGPT Health is about to get published, but they are using the some of the trial mode these days. And these tools are having very specific requirements. You can say that like this Florence is actually it is for the medical reminder purpose, and one readmission is for oncology focused survivorship chatbot. So it is more towards it is like it is providing us the length of readmission kind of things, and more prediction about the survival chances and all. So there are various different types of chatbots. Dedicated chatbots are available, and it is still under like getting more and more mature day by day. So these are the evolution of the AI healthcare chatbots which we are dealing nowadays. So at the end, I have taken two case studies. One is mortality prediction case study. So very quickly, I am trying to finish because we have very limited time. So in first case study, we are trying to identify the dementia cases. So basically, we performed LaTeX topic modeling here. and then at the end of these LDA approaches, we are identifying the topics, and these topics are highlighting what was the main concern about the in the clinical notes to predict the survivability. Then this is the another paper. Here we are using semantic web-based diagnosis and treatment of vector-borne diseases using SWRL rules. So here vector-borne diseases are, you can understand, like this is something which is a very common concern, especially in the Asian countries. So here we have developed the ontology. So you can see that this is the whole pipeline. So in this whole pipeline, first we identified the data, that was the EHR data. So it was very much diverse kind of data which we received from the official Indian government vector-borne disease or repository. And then we performed a NLP task. NLP task was basically to identify the name entity recognition. And then after getting all those entities, we tried to develop the ontology. So these ontologies were developed in a proper structured way, so that every symptom and its consequences, that we all followed properly. So you can see here, like we identified some context which was there in the text, and then we followed that sentence boundary detection. Then we follow that part of speech tagging along with tokenization, stop word removal, and we perform this sentence parsing. And finally we whatever we get, and after this sentence parsing, these sentences are became the part of our ontologies. And these ontologies are nothing but it is the structured connection of various entities which are available in the patient clinical data. So maybe patients are related to some kind of disease, and disease are related to certain set of treatments, and treatments are related to some kind of you can say that constraints. So all these entities related to any disease, it was first identified, and after its identification, we prepared these kind of RDF structures. So these RDF structures are nothing but their interconnection, and these interconnections are helping to understand the whole context. So this is the way how we developed the ontology. And since it is the extension of our basic ontology, so it followed some hierarchical structure where like where we inherited the basic properties and then prepared the entities in a special way. Maybe you can say that there is a human can be considered as a patient, and then patient can also be considered as a diabetes patient or heart patient or something like that. So these kind of structural representation we followed to develop the ontology, which was based on the vector-borne diseases. So here we developed all the ontological components. So we tried to represent each and every component along with their uh, roles and objects and their relationships and then their dependency. So these all things we have identified here. So you can see that all the symptoms and all their reports and all the other related data, everything was get connected through a kind of ontology, structural ontology representation. So this is the way how we prepared the whole ontology. And after this, lastly, we developed the rules. So this rule you can see, like we have developed according to the connections of the text which we fetched. Like the rules are like patient is having fever with certain set of symptoms, and it is leading to suppose malaria, or it is leading to muscle pain, or it is leading to filaria, and so on. So this is the way we developed the SWRL rule for malaria. Malaria's use case we have taken. So similarly, we developed the rules for another cases, for filaria cases. And then we also identified these rules to fetch them as a part of diagnosis and treatment of vector-borne diseases. So, so with all those exercises, we tried to understand like how many uh, related diseases we can able to, like vector-borne diseases means malaria, chikungunya, dengue, and we tried to understand like how we able to handle them in more rich way in terms of representation of the ontology, and then its establishment for making certain rules and understanding the interpretation. So this was the total matrix count which we explored while creating the vector-borne disease ontologies. So these are the number of objects we have. These are the number of data property we have. These are the disjoint classes, and these are the individual count. And finally, we came to the sum of the metrics which we explored in this particular paper. And lastly, I am coming to the conclusion part. So we can say that this healthcare data is having a lot of possibilities and having a lot of concern with the end users. So uh, obviously rule-based systems are there, like these ontologies are actually a typical rule-based systems. They are not LLM-based systems. So whatever rule-based systems we have developed, we needed to escalate them to the LLM-based or transformer-based systems. So that is something which is a very obvious expectation these days. So we need to develop domain-adopted models, like especially for clinically trained data. So that may be more helpful for the establishment of reliable healthcare NLP applications. And that is not also means it is not sufficient, but also we need to understand like how we can utilize the power of clinical prompt engineering so that we can understand the real world deployment of all those applications. And obviously, for the end users, chatbot or conversational AIs are more important, so that we need to incorporate. So with all those, we can say that NLP in healthcare is not about only making machines powerful to read the text, but it is also about making clinical intelligence scalable, safe, and trustworthy. So this is a very growing field, and I hope that you all can get some interest in this particular field, and you will try to explore it more. And then if you can if you need any further information about our ongoing research in this NLP and healthcare, you can contact me separately. Otherwise, I'm closing the session, and maybe we can have some discussion about the ongoing topics.
Thank you, madam. Dear participants, if you have any questions, please post in the chat box. Ma'am, there is a question for you from Swaraja, madam.
Yes.
How can we escalate rule-based to LLMs?
Uh, okay. So, madam, here in one of our papers, like we are working in ontology. So, as an ontology, we are generating some rules. So, what we did, we converted those rules in terms of the prompt, and then obviously we are not developing any LLM from the scratch, but what we are using the clinical BERT model to understand whether that particular rule in terms of prompt will be giving the correct validation or not through the LLM side. So basically, converting those rules in terms of structured prompt may help us to validate that rule. So basically, this is the way how we are trying to induce the LLM power with our traditional rule-based approaches at present. Okay. So I'm getting some request for practical implementation by Collab Notebook. So that I can share, madam. So if you have any repository, you can give me the access. I will upload this particular slides and also some of our Collab notebooks.
Okay, ma'am. One more question. Please guide me from where I have to start.
Okay.
Uh,
So yeah, obviously, like nowadays people are focusing on bird based learning and dealing with NLP part. So I can say like the first starting point is attention, all you need. So you need to start reading from this paper onwards. So it is a 2017 paper. So you start from here and then you will get series of connected papers. So maybe that will help.
one more question from Lakshmi, madam.
Yeah.
Every time, how can we depend on chatbot? Is it every time giving same results?
Uh, so this is the question of like how to develop the reliable chatbots. So basically, the reliable chatbots they are having some limitations, like they are still having some hallucination problem. So that hallucination problems are making them to sometimes respond without any correct context, or sometime repeating the same response again and again. So this is an ongoing research to control the chatbots in terms of all the drawbacks of our LLMs. So I hope that right now definitely we cannot rely upon on these chatbots on 100%, but still for non-sensitive information they are versatile, they are fine. But for any sensitive decision making, definitely they are not reliable. So that research is ongoing, and maybe we will get more powerful conversational healthcare AI tools in near future.
Yes, ma'am. No more questions after that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for the highly informative and thought-provoking session on NLP in healthcare, from clinical notes to chatbots. Ma'am, your lucid explanation of how natural language processing techniques can be effectively applied to clinical text healthcare analytics provided valuable insights to all of us. Um, the way you connected foundational concepts with the real world healthcare use cases supported by your vast research experience made the session both engaging and impactful. We truly appreciate your time, expertise, and commitment to academic excellence. Once again, thank you very much, ma'am, for your valuable contribution to this FTP. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. And I'm wishing very best to all the participants. And let us connect again sometime in some another academic platform.
Sure, ma'am.
Bye, everyone. Yeah. Good night.
Good night. Dear participants, please stay back. I'll introduce the resource person for the second session. We'll start in 1 minute. Dear participant, welcome back to the session 2. It's my pleasure to once again introduce Dr. B. Suresh Kumar sir for today's session. In the earlier session, Dr. Suresh Kumar shared the practical insights into deep learning workflows and real-world implementation strategies in medical imaging. Today, he will be taking us a step further with a hands-on session on AI-powered diagnosis using real-time medical signal or image data. This session will focus on applying AI techniques to real-time healthcare data, enabling intelligent diagnosis and decision-making systems. We are grateful to have him with us once again. I now invite Dr. B. Suresh Kumar sir to kindly take over the session.
Thank you, ma'am, for the intro. So, okay, so, yeah, am I audible?
Sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for the introduction. Okay, so let me share my screen. Yeah, I hope my screen is visible.
Not it, sir.
Okay, do it now.
Yes, sir. Now it is visible.
Thank you. Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Anvesh, Cheppamma. Cheppamma, Anvesh.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. Once again, welcome back to this deep learning and AI-powered diagnosis using the medical signal images. Okay, so if you remember yesterday, we have seen the how to apply the deep learning techniques on the medical images. Now the same, it's an extension to that particular deep learning techniques. Now we are moving ahead and we are applying some more techniques here. That means how we are going to including the AI to this part, medical imaging signals part. Okay, so let me turn off my video camera. Like I'm seeing myself here. Okay, so yeah. Now, so okay. So nowadays, if you see, lot of companies are going behind the AI. Healthcare is also one type of industry which is going behind this AI. So now that we understood yesterday, as part of our discussion, if you are attending, if you are familiar with, if you attend the yesterday's session, maybe you are familiar with how we are going to applying the deep learning into the medical images. Yesterday, we have seen the pneumonia data set. We have taken the pneumonia data set and we have applied the data. We have applied the deep learning on it. So now the question here is, so whenever you apply the data to the system or the deep learning system, the system is going to provide you that particular that particular image is having the pneumonia or not. So that's it, right? It won't give you any extra information. What about if you make a conceptual understanding to that particular mission? That means system will understand the image and it has to provide you the where that particular thing is present, where that particular pneumonia or where the particular tumor is present in the image. That is what the doctor expects, right? Doctor don't expect like, okay, so if I give an image, it is going to provide you the it is going to give you the output as, okay, that particular person is having the pneumonia or not. Now doctors won't accept that. What he needs is where that particular portion is available. So in the last, if you see in the last decades of time, healthcare has seen the expansion of data ranging from the medical images like X-rays, CT scans, MRIs, and all those things. So we will actually, in this particular session, we will build a model that can analyze our medical images and the signals and train them and test them, even visualize why the models are making a particular decision using the AI. So here we're going to call a term called explainable AI. We're going to introduce a term called explainable AI. So for that one, we are going to using the technique called GrandCam. Right. So in this case, right, so by end of this particular session, you will clearly understand the pipeline of our medical data collection, pre-processing, model training, evaluation, and all those things. And also, we're going to see like how to build the AI assistant for the doctors. Here we are not going to replace them, right? So, but the thing is, you're going to supporting them to take the decisions faster. So that is what we're going to do as part of this. So again, this may be the continuation for the yesterday's session. So the fundamental question here is, why do you need a AI in the medical diagnosis? So the answer lies in the scale of complexity, speed of our modern healthcare data. So today, every hospital, as I said, it is generating the massive amount of data in the form of X-rays, CT scans, MRIs, or the blood reports, and all those things, right? So when we consider these hundreds of thousands of patients' data, the volume becomes the far beyond what a human, consistently analyze without a factor of error. So another important issue here is the shortage of the specialist, as we discussed. So many regions, especially in the rural or the undeveloped areas, there are not enough, like you can say, like neurologists, radiologists, cardiologists. They are not there to analyze all cases in a particular time. So this is often delays the diagnosis in the medical scenarios. Delaying can be, shows the difference between the life and the death. Okay. So this is where AI becomes extremely powerful. Their AI system can analyze the thousands of images in a minute, maintains the consistent accuracy. And the important thing is it won't get tired. So another important point here is the early detection. Many diseases like cancer, pneumonia, health disorders, and the neurological conditions shows very early stage patterns that are difficult to see in our eyes. So we can also develop the deep learning models can often detect those micro patterns much earlier than the humans. However, it is important to understand that AI is not meant to be replace the doctors or other things. AI means to work in, as assistant to the doctors. So it's a thing like AI is an highly intelligent assistant which can screen the cases, highlight the regions, suspicious regions, provide the second options, right? So these are all the things that AI can do. So if you see the real world examples, there are we can see chest X-rays, EGI signal analysis, digital pathologies. So these are all the things. Now that we understood that why AI is needed in the healthcare, let's look at where AI is really used in the real clinical practices. This is not the future technology, which is happening today itself, right? In the hospitals, labs, and all those things. So let's start with the X-rays analysis. So this is the most, as I said, like most successful application, even in the COVID-19 period also. It is many hospitals are worked on this, based on this chest X-rays, they find out the person is affected with the COVID or not. So even if you go with the ECG signals, ECG signal analysis, it's a time series waveform. It's like a ECG signal is like a time series waveforms that represent the electrical activity of the heart. So the deep learning model can analyze these signals and automatically detects the rhythm of that particular heart. Is that in the disorder or like it's any cardiac problem this person is having? In some studies, AI system have achieved the performance comparable with this cardiologist. If you just go to Google and search for what is the what are the different types of ECG signal analysis has been done. And another thing is digital pathology, where the pathology slides the extremely high resolution images, which contains the thousands or even millions of cells. So today, AI models can scale these images and automatically detect the cancer regions, count the abnormal cells, and even grade the tumor severities. So that comes under the pathologies. Retinal images, eye diseases, if at all, if you want to work on the retinal images kind of things, you can have a blasting feature in this. So brain imaging, MRIs and CT scans, where AI is used to detect the brain tumors, strokes, neurological disorders, and all those things. So the key points here we need to remember here is, it's not experimental thing. We are not going to experimenting anything here. We are not taking the AI. It is already being developed in the hospitals, right? So we are going to build a version extra, exactly that kind of system, which is using the real medical things and all those things. So basically, how the real world applications like chest X-rays, these are all the different real-time examples we have. So if you remember yesterday, we have taken only X-rays, and you can also combine those, practical version with the ECGs, digital pathologies, retinal imaging, right? So brain scan images. You will find a lot of things in the Google. There's a much scope is there on this medical imaging systems, right? So what type of medical data we can use in the AI systems? So here, to build any AI system for medical diagnosis, the first and most important question we must ask here is, what type of data we are going to give it to the AI, right? So that is the important thing, because AI system does not understand the diseases directly. The only way to understand the data representation of the human body. So in healthcare, we are generally deals with the 4 major type of data. First one is the medical images, which includes the X-rays, CT scans, MRI scans, ultrasounds, and all those things. So they are essentially 2D are the 3D visual representations for the internal organs and the tissues. So deep learning or AI, especially a convolutional neural network, has been extremely successful analyzing these images. And yesterday also we have seen a similar kind of thing here. X-rays, we have taken the X-ray and we have applied our model on this, correct? So the second major category goes with the medical signals, which is also called as the time series data. For example, for this one, we are, let's take the ECG heart activity data, ECG of, EEG of brain activity data, EMG for the muscle activity, and we have the PPG, which is for blood volume pulse. So unlike the images, these are the waveforms that these are the waveforms which changes over the time, and they require the different kind of neural networks, such as the 1D neural network or LSTMs. So for the images, the best suitable version is we'll go with a CNN. If you have any waveforms like a signal kind of things, let's go with a 1D CNN, or you can go with the LSTMs. And next comes to the clinical text and reports, which includes the doctor's notes, right? So discharge summaries, pathology reports, and prescriptions. So this kind of data is unstructured, right? So the doctor notes, if you take the doctor notes or the discharge summaries, these are text data, right? So on the text data, if you apply the NLP, natural language processing, which can process your data, which is unstructured. Basically, we can call this unstructured data, right? So you can process that data to get the details of a particular disease. Structured data. Next one is the structured data, which is structured numerical data, such as the blood test values, vital signals like temperature and the blood pressure, patient age, weight. Right? So like tabular information. Even simple machine learning models can effectively work on this type of data. So here you can take all these things like images, signals, and the text data and the reports. For example, in a real clinical decision system might have X-ray images. It may be have the ECG signals, and they are also having the doctor notes. So together, to make an accurate diagnosis, we are going to combine on the multimodal data, because the multimodal data is going to have all these things, right? Signals, it's going to covered here. Images has been covered, text has been covered, and the reports also covered here, right? So in this case, when you apply these kind of things, you have a different types of medical data is available here, right? So we can also apply, the things like you can work on. If you want to work on the images, just go with the X-ray, CT scan images. There you can apply the CNN. If you want to go with the signals, you can go with the LSTM and all those things. Maybe here you may get the doubt. What is the signals here? It's like a time series data, right? It's like it's not a normal images. So yesterday, so far we have discussed on the medical images like X-ray images and all those things, which are the static snapshot of the body. Now let's move to the very different but equally important type of medical data called the signals. So here the medical signals are the time series data, which means they represent how the process changes over the time. Let's take the ECG, heart electrical activity, which is they're going to keep some tubes on our heart, and they're going to analyze the heart, how the heart functioning, right? So similar kind of data we can get. So the most common example, like as I said, ECG signal represent the electrical activity of our heart. Each beat of the heart produces the characteristic wave pattern. in films, a lot of films we have seen, like, okay, so they'll keep some tubes on the human body, and it is moving. It's whenever the we get the like heart's signal, then it's going to increase the wavelength and it's going to decrease the wavelength, like that, right? So this is the important thing here. Another important thing here is EEG, which measures the electrical activity of the brain, which is widely used in the sleep studies, coma analysis, brain disorder diagnosis, right? So these are all the different types of things we can apply. So from now, an AI representative, the most important thing we can understand here is these are not the images. These are 1D signals that can change over the time. So we can directly apply the 2D CNN models that we use for the images, correct? Because this is also in a waveform, which is also like a image format only. We can consider it as an image format only. So instead, we typically use the 1D convolution network or 2D convolution network to learn the patterns in the waveforms. So that was the reason normally we'll go with the LSTM and like GRU, granular recurrent networks. Like, okay. So another important property in the signals is rhythm, like regular heartbeats or morphological patterns, the shape waves, anomalies, like irregular patterns, abnormal spikes, right? So deep learning models are extremely good in learning these temporal patterns, often better than the manual rule-based system. In real hospitals, the signal-based AI systems are used for continuous heart monitoring in ICUs, early warning system, wearable health devices, and long-term patient monitoring. So, working on the images and the signals also shows the same behavior. And where the images shows the structure, the signal shows the behavior over a time. Both are equally important. Both are equally important here. Both are equally important. Okay, so this is about the medical images signals. So with this, you maybe you understood the images as well as the signals. Then what are the challenges are there in the medical, right? So the most challenges in the medical data is limited label data, and noisy low quality data, class imbalance, high inter-patient vulnerabilities, device hospitality variabilities, privacy regularity vulnerabilities. Like, so far, everything might sounds very promising and all those things, right? But when you enter into the real-time thing, when you enter into the real-time real world, the system, you will see the actual thing over there. But in the practice, medical AI is one of the hardest domain in the artificial intelligence. So the first biggest problem is the limited label data. In normal computer vision task, we can ask anyone to label the images like cats, and let's consider the cats and dogs images. By seeing the image itself, any normal person can say that particular image is the cat image or the dog image. But what for the medical images? Can any person say like this is the if you give an image to a particular person, say like, okay, is this the affected one or the normal one? Can the person says no? So, but in the medical imaging, the only trained doctors or the specialists can label the data. The time is very expensive and the availability is limited. As a result, most medical data sets are small compared to the ImageNet or other general data sets. And the next one is the noisy and the low quality data. See here, there is a multiple things impact on this one, like patient movement, poor imaging conditions, sensor noise, low contrast. For example, X-ray might be blurry. ECG signals might have motion artifacts. So the duty of the AI system must be robust enough to work with this imperfect real world data, not just clean the textbooks examples, right? So the third issue is the class imbalance. If you see the real hospital data, most patients are the normal. The small percentage having the particular diseases. This create a situation where we have a 95% of normal cases, the 5% disease cases. But can we train our system? Can we train our system with a 5% of data? Where we have the 95% of the normal images with the 5% of the disease images. So if we train a model with this data, it just learn the predict normal only, right? All time. Which we can still get the higher accuracy level, which is clinically useless. So we must use the special strategies to handle this imbalance. If you go with the similarly with the inter-patient variability, the same disease can look different in the different people, depending on the age, gender, body structure, stage of disease, and other conditions. Like a lot of other conditions affects this one. So this make generalization is very difficult here. So like device and hospital variability. The images taken from the different hospitals, different machines, and the different protocols can look significantly different, right? So if a model trained on one hospital data, that may fail completely with another hospital data, right? Because the images which you have taken here are almost different over there, right? So finally, we have the privacy and the regularization constraint, which is the extremely sensitive here. Medical data is extremely sensitive. We cannot freely share and collect the data sets like what we do in the other domains. There are a lot of limitations are there for this. So medical AI is just not a coding problem. It's a data quality, data availability, data clinical reliability problem. So that is also why the simple model, good handling, data handling, proper validation often outperform very complex model trainings. Okay, so like these are the different types of challenges we have in this medical data set. So upon all these challenges, anyway, we are currently as the data increases, as the technologies increases, most of the people got the awareness to share the data, because that will work for the research or AI systems to get the things easily, right? So that is a main important thing for any hospitals or any kind of things. That is the reason nowadays we are getting the data very easily. Okay, so up to this portion, we have seen like what are the challenges and what are the things that are available in the. We have talked about different challenges, types, and all those things. Now let us understand the big picture, how a complete AI-powered medical diagnosis system can actually build it. Okay, so for that, this is the pipeline is important here. So a very important point to remember in this is, AI system is not just a neural network. It's a full pipeline which is consisting of multiple careful design stages. The first stage is the data acquisition, where the data comes from the hospitals, diagnostic missions, public data sets, or the research studies. So this can be like a X-rays, MRIs, and all those things. Anyway, we are discussing the same thing from yesterday onwards, right? And coming to the next process, the data pre-processing, where you're going to clean the data, resizing of data, normalize the intensity values, remove the noisy data, and apply the data augmentations, which is going to increase the data size diversity. This is often has a more impact on the performance of these changing the model architecture, right? So next comes to the data splitting. Anyway, we are doing that, right? So we are dividing the data into training set, validation set, and the testing set. So for the training, to train our model, we are going with the training set. For the tune the hyperparameters, for tuning of hyperparameters, we are going with the validation set. To test our model, to evaluate the final performance of our model, then we are going with a test set. So these are the three things. Yesterday also we have seen that. Then comes to the model designing and the training. Depending on the data type, we can use the if it is a CNN images, we'll go with the CNN. If it is a signals, we'll go with the LSTM or 1D CNN, or even transformers we'll use for the multimodal data. So this model learn the patterns that correlates with diseases from the training data. So after training, we'll go with the model evaluation. In the model evaluation, in the medical AI, the accuracy alone is not the enough. When I say the model evaluation, we may think about the accuracy. No, accuracy is not the enough here, because, as I said, we have the 95% of normal data, the 5% we have the diseases data. So accuracy alone is not sufficient to get this. Right? So the thing here is the sensitivity, that how many sick patients can correctly detect, specificity, how many healthy patients are correctly identified. Okay? So like other clinical metrics, like you may go with precision, recalls, and all those things. So because missing the diseases case is far more dangerous than false alarm. So then comes the important step, explainability and the clinical validation. So this is what the model we are looking for. This is what the model we are looking for, right? So this is what explainability and the validation. Because these things, whatever we have discussed, like medical data acquisition, data pre-processing, data splitting, model designing and testing, evaluation. So these steps will be same for when you compare with the deep learning. And in this particular session, we are going to including the AI here, which is going to provide the explainability and the validations. So doctors not trust a black box. We must show why the model made the decision, which region of the image or which part of the signal influences that result. Right? Let's say you have defined. Yesterday we have designed one model which is taking the images, and from that images, right? So from that images, we have trained the model, and that image is giving the output. Will that be sufficient? Because you have given the input. You have given the input to the system. Then what happened next? System has given like, okay, so that image is, that image is like a diagnose, like pneumonia or normal image. Is that sufficient? No. Then the doctor will ask a question. Yes, sir, anyone is doing anything here? Maybe others are taking this point. Please. Okay. Here in this particular thing, right? As I'm saying, that is itself is not the sufficient. Like when you give the model to, whenever you give the image to the system, right? So that is not sufficient. What we need? We need we need a system which is going to. Yeah. Any questions from anyone? Slides are not changing. Can I reshare once again? What about now? Now it's visible. It is visible now. Yeah.
There are slides visible, but they are not changing, sir.
I think someone has taken this, madam, like the, this cross mark. I didn't done any cross marks and all those things.
Oh, okay. We'll check, sir. We'll check.
Okay. So what about now? I'm changing this slides. Is that changing now?
Now it is fine, sir.
Oh, yes. Okay. See, madam, that is what some things are coming here. Let me do it. Just a second. Just give me a second. Let me close this and reshare once again. Yeah. I think now it is fine. Now it's fine, right? So it's changing now. Is it changing now? I have changed the image. This one. It's I'm changing. Okay. Now, so we are okay. So we are running on this particular slide where okay. So we are working on this end-to-end pipeline. So this pipeline is, as I said, right. So this pipeline is same for all the things like if you are working on the any type of data, like if you're working on the ECG data or if you're working on any kind of other data. So this is same up to this portion, like data training and designing and the data training. And then we are going with only, the most important thing as part of this AI is the explainability and the validation. So as I said yesterday, we are going with the deep learning model. So what is a deep learning model? So in the deep learning model, we are training the data on the some data set, and that for that data set we are giving the input, and whenever we give the input, the system is saying that that particular image is pneumonia image or not, correct? But is that what we are expecting? No, right? So the question the doctor again asked, like, which part of the portion is affected with the pneumonia? So here the system has to be the capable to tell that, okay, this portion is affected with the pneumonia or any brain tumor kind of thing. So that explainability we are adding to the system. That comes to the AI for our medical diagnosis system. So the technique for that one is we are going to use grad CAM. The technique we have used in this particular thing, we have used the grad CAM. Okay, so next, finally, is everything is validated. The system is deployed. The system in the hospitals like PAC systems, cloud computings, and cloud platform, or even in the edge devices like portable scanners and the wearable things. So the key message for this one is building AI is an engineering pipeline, not just a medical task. Every stage, we have to be very careful and validate the data. So yes, this is the pipeline we have seen. Next one we are doing with from where we need to collect the data, where the source data we can get, and every AI system starts with the data. But in the medical AI, how the data is collected and how the data is labeled is absolutely critical. AI a powerful model trained on the poor or incorrect labels still gives the dangerous and misleading results. So let's talk about whether the medical data comes where the medical data comes from. So there are mainly three resources. One is the hospital diagnostic centers and the public data sets and the clinical studies of the research projects. So mainly the data will come from here. So in the real world, hospitals often messy, incomplete, unstructured. Public data is usually cleaned and curated. So which may often use them in the research and the teaching thing. Okay. So next, coming to the annotations. What is the annotation? The annotation is the process of assigning the meaning to the data. For example, let's say labeling the X-ray as a normal or the pneumonia, marking the exact disease type, like marking the exact tumor region in the MRIs, labeling the ECG signal segmentation, the normal beat or the abnormal beat. So in some cases, the label is just a class. In more advanced cases, it can be like bounding box, segmentation, or even the pixel level annotation. So what does the labeling? What does the labeling here? It's very important. Only trained medical experts can do this reliably. Radiologist, cardiologist, pathologist, like a special kind of people will provides the labelings, because a small mistake in the labeling can completely mislead the AI model. So this is also why the annotation is expensive, slow, and limited. The different doctors may sometimes disagree, which is called as the observer variability. In such cases, we often need the multiple experts, conscious labeling, and the quality control process. So another important concept here is the ground truth. The ground truth means the best available reference diagnosis that we assume to be the correct. So to whom we need to, whenever we are giving the label, so to whom we need to, to whom we need to get, to whose answer we need to obey. So that is what the truth here. So the most thing here is an AI in the medical AI data quality, data label quality are the important than the model complexity. A simple model with the high quality labels can outperform the complex models trained on the noisy labels data, right? So let's say, coming to the next one, we go with the data pre-processing and the medical image signals. For the medical images and the signals, as we have seen how to apply the signals for, the images. Let's see the how to apply for the medical signals. So now we come to one of the most underestimated, most important step, that is the entire pipeline is the data pre-processing. So mainly, many beginners think that the success in the deep learning comes from the choosing a very complex model. In reality, in medical AI, good pre-processing often more important than changing the model accuracy. Let us understand why pre-processing is needed. So we have collected different missions, collected the data from the different missions, stored in the different formats, different resolutions, and the different scale, often contains the noisy and the artifacts, right? So if we directly feed this raw data to the neural network, the model will struggle to learn the meaningful pattern. So for the medical images, the common step is the research. So that anyway we'll do. So the next one is the intensity normalization. The intensity normalization, different missions produces the different brightness, contrast, and all those things, right? So when it comes to the training, you need to take care of all those things here. We also apply the noise removal, contrast enhancement, especially in the X-rays and the ultrasound images, to make the important structure more visible. Another thing is the cropping. Then data augmentation comes. Rotating the images, flipping, zooming, and all those things. Right? So all these things we're going to work as part of our digital images and the medical signals also. And in the denoising and the filtering kind of things, will remove the power lines, noises in the artifacts, resampling to make this all the signals have the same sampling rate, normalization to standardize the amplitude range and the segmentations and all those things. So next comes to the data training. Okay, so how to give the data and how to provide the training and the testing and the validation data. Now, many published papers, if you see any published paper, the students' projects make a serious mistake in this stage. And as a result, their reports very high accuracy, then that completely fails the real world usage. So why do we split the data set at all? The answer is simple. We want to test whether the model can generalize to new or unseen data. Right? See, whenever you're developing a model, you are not only developing the model to get the accuracy, right? You're developing that model for the real world. If whenever you give the new input, then whenever you give the new input, the system has to work on that new input also. So usually we will divide the data set into 3 parts. I think yesterday one of our colleagues has asked about how to get this one. So actually we are going to convert the data into the 3 parts here. One is for the training test set, one is for the validation, one is for the testing purpose. So the first one, the training set, the data that model actually uses for the learning the patterns. Okay, the model adjusts the weights and the parameter based on this particular data. The second part is the validation set, which is approximately between the 10 to 15 range. This data not used for the training. This is used during the deployment, like tuning the hyperparameters, choosing the different models, architectures, decide when to stop the training and all those things. And the third part is the testing. As we know, the completely unseen data. Right? It should be only once. It should be used only once at very end of our report. So typically, we use something like 70 to 80% of data for the training, 10 to 50% for the validation, 10 to 15% for the testing. Okay. So in medical AI, there is very dangerous trap called the data leakage. Data leakage. So for example, if the same patient image appear in both training and the testing set, so the model may appear to perform extremely well, but in reality, it just recognizes the patient, not the disease. So one of the important rule here is data from the same patient must never appear in the multiple splits. If we violate this rule, we can get over optimistic, clinically useless result. So correct the data splitting is it's not just a technical detail, it's a scientific necessity. So that is what we need to do. Okay, so as we have for the medical images, I said, right? So in traditional machine learning, engineers had manually designed the features. For example, medical imaging, right? So medical imaging, like people use it to design features like textures, edges, shapes. Okay, so the deep learning completely changes this paradigm. The biggest power of the deep learning is the model automatically learns the features directly from the data. So for the medical images, the most commonly used is the CNN, which is we have already seen. So today, instead of training the deep learning from the scratch, we have the pre-trained model like RSS net, VGG net, and efficient net, and the dense net. So these models are trained on the huge data set, then often fine-tuned with the medical images. So this approach we can call it as a transfer learning. So now we are going to use that transfer learning to work on this particular data. So as I said, right, so for the medical signals and all those things, you can go with the 1D CNN or recurrent neural network. In recent research, when we have a multi-model data, for example, like images, signals, and the text, people uses the fusion model, or even transformer models based architectures to combine the different data types. So that is also recently the people are using. So you may wonder here how the deep learning is showing the more effect on this data. It's powerful model does not it's a powerful model where it is going to learn the patterns, good for the validations and all those things, right? So there is a reason most of the people are working on this one, right? Now, in this case, whenever I'm discussing all these things, you may have heard about the word like transfer learning. What is the transfer learning then? Okay, so coming to this, if there is only one single technique that has made modern medical images like AI practical, which is nothing but a transfer learning here. So let us understand what the transfer learning means. Instead of training a deep neural network from the scratch, use the small medical data set. We take the model that has been trained on the large data set, such as like ImageNet and adapt to our which is going to adapt to our medical task. Now you may ask like, okay, so ImageNet can contain the dogs, cats, car images, right? So can it fit to this X-rays and MRIs? So the answer is the earlier layers of the CNN are very general features, such as like they're going to work on the edges, corners, textures, the basic shapes. So these features are useful in almost any kind of images, right? So that is the reason in medical AI, we almost have the small data set because, as I said, the data is hard to collect and annotations is very expensive. The training, and the privacy restrictions and all those things. So training very deep network from the scratch on the small data set would maybe lead to the outfitting, right? So the model will memorize the training data and fails on the new cases. So typical strategy here is just load the pre-trained model such as the RSNet or EfficientNet and all those things. Remove or replace the final classifier layer. That's it, simple. So add a new classifier for the medical problem. So freeze these earlier layers and train only the new layer. We can also put the fine tune for deeper layers, with a very simple small learning rate. Fine, right? So instead of going with the entire model, we'll take the already predefined model like RSSNet, VGGNet, and EfficientNet. So then we'll if any neural network, the first stage is common. So we'll take that first stage and we'll remove the labels that is already defined in that one. Let's say you may consider like RSNet is worked on the cats and dogs images. Now what I will do is, instead of cats and dogs images, I'll put pneumonia and normal. Then in the cat images, I'll place this one, I'll place the pneumonia, and in the cat images, I'll place the normal images. So then already trained images there. Then what we are doing, we're just changing our, we are removing that extreme data from that one, and we are giving our simple data, small data set. Because the system is already trained, no issue. So what we are doing, what in our practical session, 2 minutes, we are going to enter into our practical session. In that, what I have done is we have taken the pre-trained model, which is used for the training and all those things. We are going with this. We are using the transfer learning over there with the combination of GrandCam. Okay, so the model training process, as I said, what actually we can say, like, we train the deep learning model. So training is not a magic. It's simply like is simply a large scale numerical optimization process. First, we must clearly define the objective of the model, right? So the classification problem, the most medical diagnosing task, which is going to be the classification only, which is the decision, disease or no disease, no disease, or multiple disease cases. So based on this, we choose the approaches like the loss functions. For example, if it is a two classes, we usually use the binary cross interval. For the multiple cases, we'll go with the category or categorical cross entropy, right? Then we'll choose the optimizer. So in the optimizer, we are going with the ADAM or SGD or the RMS probe, which is the optimizer job is to adjust the model weights in such a way that loss becomes the smaller and the smaller. Similarly, yesterday we have taken the ADAM optimizer. So the job of the optimizer is to adjust the weights to, whenever we are getting the loss. Okay, so whenever you are getting the loss here, okay, whenever we are getting the loss, that loss, to reduce that loss, we are using this optimizer. Then using the training parameters like batch size, learning rate, and the number of epochs, right? So these are the things we are going to take here. Batch size is how many samples we need to process at the same time. The learning rate, how big step we have to take when updating the weights. Number of epochs, how many times we go through the entire data set. This is going to be the part of our training parameters. Then now comes to the actual training loop. That is when we feed the batch of images, right? So we feed the batch of images to the signal, or the images or the signals into the model. Then the model produces a prediction. We compute the loss between the, between the prediction and the ground truth value. We perform the back propagation. Then again, weights are going to update. So this repeats. We repeat this thousands of times, to get the proper accuracy rate. Then we are going with consistent. We will monitor that data for the training loss and accuracies and the validation loss and accuracy. If the training performs keeps improving, but the validation performance gets worse, that means the model is overfitting here. What I'm saying is, so whenever you train the data, right, at that time we will get this one. One is the training loss and the validation loss. If the training performance keeps improving, but the validation performance getting worse, that means whatever the data you are using, that data is going in a worst way, a overfitting way, right? So that the thing is, whenever you are training the controlled, monitorized, optimized process, then the goal is to not just to fit the training data, but to generalize the new patient. Okay, so that is about the thing. Then comes to the evaluation matrix. The evaluation matrix for this particular model is like we're going with the confusion matrix, accuracies, and the sensitivity, specificity, and the precision, and all that. So many beginners think that accuracy is everything. Where whoever is doing the real-time implementations on the medical images, they it's normal thing, because accuracy, whenever we get the higher accuracy level, we will think like our model is predicting the good data, right? But that is not correct. But for the medical diagnosis, accuracy alone cannot be the extremely thing. It's like a misleading the thing. Okay, so first you need to understand the confusion matrix. Like in the confusion matrix, as we know, like we have the true positives, true negatives, false positives, and the false negatives. Now, accuracy is like simply the percentage of the correct predictions. But imagine the situation where the 95% of the patients are healthy, 5% are sick. So if a model always, if we train the model on this data, like where 95% of the patients are the healthy and 5% of the people are sick, then in that case, the model always predicts it's a healthy, because it's having the 95% of accuracy. accuracy data, but which is actually misleading misleading the things. Okay, so that is why we use the sensitivity, which is also called as the recall or the true positive rate. So sensitivity answers all these questions. Out of all the sick, like it is going to ask, like, out of all the sick patients, how many did correctly detected? In many medical applications, high sensitivity are extremely important, because missing the diseases can case can have the serious consequences, right? So these are all the different types of things. Like we have like AUC or AUC ROC model, ROC model, which is measures the overall discriminative ability. So these are all the things we are going to see in this particular thing. Now comes to the explainable AI, which is we are implementing in this one. Right, in this case, right, in many applications, like movie recommendations or the face filters, we don't really care why AI made this decision. Let's say Netflix is there. Netflix is providing the movie recommendation system. We don't care about the things, but in the medicines, it is absolutely unacceptable. Imagine a system that says the patient is having the cancer. The next question from the doctor is like, why do you think so? Show me the evidence, right? So if the AI cannot answer that question, it will be never be trusted or logically, legally unaccepted, right? Because doctor is asking, like, the AI is say, the system is saying that the patient is having a cancer. Whenever the asker is like, what is the evidence for that? The system, if the system fails to provide the answer, then can it is impossible to believe that system. So deep learning model often are often called as a black boxes, because they can achieve the high accuracy, but their internal reasoning is not directly visible to the humans. This creates a serious problem. So, like, how do we know the model is not using the wrong clues, and we can how do we detect bias or the shortcuts, and how do we justify the decision to the doctors and the patients? So this is where the explainable AI, or we can call it XAI, becomes the crucial. The explainable AI technique try to answer the questions like, which part of the image influenced the decision, which part of the signal was important, okay, which feature is worst and responsible for the prediction. So one of the popular method in this medical imaging is the GrandCam. So GrandCam produces the heat map overlay on the image, which shows where the network was focusing on its attention. For example, in the chest X-rays, GrandCam highlights the lung region that causes the model to predict the pneumonia. So this gives the doctor to validate the AI reasoning and the way to catch the errors. So this is what the thing will do. So what's the GrandCam thing? So as I'm saying, like, we are using the GrandCam and all those things, but what is a grand here? So grand is nothing but the gradient weighted class activation mapping. Gradient weighted class activation mapping. The name sounds complicated, but the idea is actually very simple. The purpose of this GrandCam to answer one key question is, which part of the, let's say, which part of the image made the network predict the class. Okay, so let's say, in other words, when the model says X-ray shows the pneumonia, then the GrandCam here, the focuses on it's mainly focuses on the region where that particular thing is affected. I'll show you that one also. So at the high level, here what GrandCam does is, it looks at the last convolution of the CNN. Okay, and it computes how important each feature map is predict the classes and all those things it is going to result. So the result is color coded visualization, like some in the red and yellow regions, very important for the dishes. If it is a blue region, not important. So based on that, the system, the people can understand, the doctors can understand the things. And you say like from where I can get the data, like these are all the different types of sources where you can get the data resources, right? So this is about the thing. Now let's jump into the implementation part and let's see how do we apply this particular thing. Okay, now I'm showing you the how to implement this AI grant thing. Okay, so one more thing is I have kept all these things in a drive. Okay, let me share this later. Yeah. So I'm taking the another data set here, like okay. So we are working with new data set, that is a X-ray data set, which is going to be used here for our training purpose. Okay. So this is I think anyway you know about this one. Okay. So for this one, right, as I'm importing NumPy numerical operations and the keras for our model training and all those things. This is a simple one, right? So it's like it's not the that much of difficult and all those things, right? So let's move to the next one. Here we are taking the data set, right? If you see the data set, which is having the total patient IDs and all those things that we are storing here, then we are preventing the data leakage here. Just a second. Right. So, as I said, right, data leakage where for our training and all those things, as I said, like the same person data may be appear in the different, the same patient data can be appeared in the same testing and trainings, right? So that was the reason what we are doing here is like we are, we are checking for that data. If at all, if we find any unique data things in the data set, that is what we are checking here. As it is in the CSV file, just simply what we are doing is we're just converting everything into the set. Okay, we are converting everything into the set, which is going to provide you the unique data set. That data set we are grouping into one particular, we are grouping into one particular list. So this is a simple one, data leakage one we are doing here. Right. Now, next comes to the columns. What are the columns that are available in the particular images? Like we have see here images, and these are all the table columns we have. Right. So this is the normal one. Now, so from this one, we are removing the unnecessary, whatever the images, whatever the things are not required, we are removing all those things because if at all, if we don't require all those things, why do we need that data? So simply we are removing here, right? So these are all things for the data visualization purpose. I'm taking the data visualization. Okay, so all these things for the data visualization. Anyway, we discussed all these things yesterday, but my concentration is only on the GrandCam visualization. Okay, because anyway all this part, how to apply and all those things. Today anyway we discussed all these things. Okay, so yeah. Now coming to the image pre-processing. Okay, so our data pre-processing will be happen here. From this one, we are generating the data, we are constructing the data and all those things. The same step. Whatever we have done in the yesterday session, we have doing the same here. Right? So up to this portion is similar. Just so here I have given how the computations and all those things work. Not this one. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. I'll show you like how to apply this GrandCam on the label data. Okay, so all these things like the same how we have done yesterday, the same thing, but only the difference here is applying the GrandCam on the data. Okay, now so this is the important part. Because up to this portion, right? Up to this portion, the model, up to this portion, we are implementing the deep learning model on those things. That is the straightforward way. And once your model has been deployed, then we are going with the actual process, that is the GrandCAD. So in this case, right, I think, okay, so once I complete that, then we'll go with RSSnet, how we have set up that. Now, so what we are doing here is we are getting from the layer, we are getting getting a layer which is going to be convolution. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me come from this portion where our model has been developed. Okay, let's come from the beginning. Okay. So this is about the data, preventing the leakages. Okay, classes, data visualizations. Let's go to the next part, data pre-processing, the pre-processed data. Okay. So now from this here. So up to this portion, what we have done, like these are all the this data. It's like getting the training data and all those things, and the validation generator. All those things are the normal process. What we have done as part of our data deep learning process. Now let's take our data to the next level where our model has been. We are getting our for the to train our model. As I said, we can also get the RSNet and VGNet data, right? So that's what I'm looking for. Somewhere I have kept this, but simple. Just give me a second here. Yeah, sorry, here, densely. So this is our model. So whatever we have seen in the previous steps, those are all normal things like the pre-processing steps and pre-processing steps and gathering the testing data and the training data. All those are similar. Now, so this is about the model. What is this model here is? So in this model, what we are taking here is we are applying the dense layer. Okay, so we are applying the dense layer, which is okay. So just give me a second. Did I get any question? Okay, dense layer and all those things here, right? So in this case, as we are applying the model in this one, right, we are taking the. Okay, so let's go one by one here. Now, from the applications, okay, from the applications of Keras, I'm taking the DenseNet 121. So the DenseNet 121 is already a predefined DenseNet, a predefined model, which is, so if you remember yesterday we have saved one model, right? The same model is saved in the Keras. So that model we are taking here. So once we are taking the model, and similarly for our neural network, we need some layers like dense layer, activation layer for the flatterns, dropouts, normalization, all those things we are taking here. Right. So coming to this model, we are getting the training data, which is already we have trained previously. That data and the loss functions we are taking here. Now we need to fit all this data into our model, dense model. So to create the base pre-trained model, what we are doing is on this dense net 131, the weight function we are sending it as a dense HDF 5 we are taking, which is includes the if any repetitions are there, they're taking it as a false. Then after that, we are once the data has been loaded, that data, when dense net, we are storing into our base model. So once the base model has been loaded to the system, then after what we are doing here is like, so in this particular case, we are going with the model training scale. Now, once the model has been fit, for the next process, what we have to do, like we need to get the output, and that output has to be work on the two-dimensional data. So for the prediction of this dense layer, we need the activation function. So the dense layer, we're taking with all the labels with activation function as a sigmoid activation function. And the model has been trained on the based inputs and the predictions. For the optimization purpose, what we're taking, we are compiling the model on the optimizer as Adam with the late function, with the loss function. Right? So this is how the dense layer work. If at all, if you want to know the more about the dense net, there is an just a second. There is a dense net architecture here. Net, if you go with the dense net in Keras, okay. So if you see the dense net in Keras, okay, there is a a full recommendation. I mean, you're going to find the documentation related to this dense net and what it is. Okay, so see the density corrected convolution network. It is going what it is going to expect, and all those things you're going to get here. If at all, if you need any more information, please always preferable just go to the dense network and see the documentation, how the documentation works, and what are all the input parameters that are required in the dense layer and all those things. Okay, you need to once you see this documentation, you'll understand what are the parameters it is expecting and how to import this particular dense layer into the system, right? So all those things you can see. You can see here the parameters, what the parameters are using, what are the arguments that are using. So all those things we can find as part of this documentation. Okay, so same thing I'm applying here as a part of our dense layer. We're taking all those things and simply I'm generating the model here. Now our model, our model has been loaded here. That model I'm storing into my model here. So let's see the layers of our model composing of. Let's see what are all the models that has been composed as we're taking the dense layer, right? So the first one, the first step, okay, this is the first step, the model. Initially, it goes with the input layer with the three layers. After that, zero padding. So if at all the data is not available in the, whenever you are applying the filters, right? So whenever you're applying the filters, okay, so at that time, if our the filter moves upside or if the filter moves on the non-occupied region, then it's going to be, we are going to fill that data with a zero. So that is the reason it is zero padding will be there. Then after that, the convolution Curie network, and we are normalizing that again, we are applying the activation function. Then once this is completed, then we are going to max pooling and the batch normalization. The step will repeat, all this steps will repeat again, once again here. Like that, there are multiple convolution layer blocks and the pooling layers. If you see, there is somewhere the pooling layer, batch normalization, and all those things happen here. This is a model somewhere. So after that, once the model has been done, we need to fit our model into the data, right? So for total the number of layers we have here is the 429 layers are there, and we need to train the model onto that particular data. So for that one, what we have to do is we need to fit our whatever the values, whatever the training data is there, we are fitting all the training data here. So which is having the training data. For the validation, we are going with the validation generator. The number of epochs for this particular steps for to train this one, we are taking the number of epochs as 100. The validation step is 25. So then we go with the prediction and all those things. So this is the normal area of curve and all those things, like to get the accuracy curves and all those things we have taken. And once we done this process, then we are loading the images. See the images, how the images are appearing and all those things. But the main idea behind this one is the GrandCam, which is going to visualize the impact of the region in the specific model. So I'll show you the image of I'll show you the output of these output of these one. See, yeah. So this is how. Let me minimize my okay. See here. So if you see the output here, normally in the deep learning models, whenever you apply the deep learning models, right? So the deep learning models will, whenever you give the input to the system will give you that particular image or the input is having the pneumonia or not. But whenever you apply the GrandCam to our deep learning thing, then it is going to identify the region where that particular thing is affected. See the different here. This is a original image. In this original image, it is going to showing that where that particular hotspot, like it is like hotspot. So where that particular region is affected. See, that is a basic difference in the GrandCam. So let's see the implementation of this GrandCam, how to apply this GrandCam and all those things. Here I have given extremely all the data, whatever the requirements are there. So the GrandCam, I'm defining a function which is taking the input model and the image, category layer and the layer name. All these things, the number of arguments, images, layer name, and all those things I have explained here. It's like I kept in the comment box. Now, so for the output, to get the class output and the layer, we are taking the input model output here. That is going to be stored as part of our output batch dimensions. So to remove the batch dimension, we're just taking the only single first step. We are storing into the list. We are taking only the first value. So after removing the batch dimension, then we are going with the disease category at the category index, because the data has been stored in the category, right? So that category images is going to be stored like into the YC, in the YC label. So in this case, the next one is the model, to get the input model layer, specified by the layer name, which is going to be outputs our tensors. So to get that one, what we're doing is on the input model, we are applying the get layer, which is affected with the, which is having the layer name from the output. Next, we are applying the gradient layer to the respected output. Then they just apply this, then you will get the specific hotspot. So these are all the things we need to you need to apply as part of our GrandCam. So here, to get the to apply the GrandCam and all those things, simply you need to this is a thing where this won't change. This won't change, because if any image, the image trained on the data set and that image is having the model has been trained on it and everything has been done. So now what you need to check is, once the model has been saved, then after that you need to apply this particular GrandCam method. So this is the implementation we have shown here. That implementation will give you the how to apply the GrandCam onto the system. So to visualize, I'm visualizing our cam and the original image. So whenever visualizing this, see you can see here clear difference here, the GrandCam and the original image. So we can also GrandCam, we can also apply this. We can use this GrandCam for the multiple labels on the same image. Okay, so let's say here having the I'm having the model with the image, mean, standard deviations, local directory, and all those things. So these are different arguments that we are passing here. Okay, let's say when we start our model on the data set, let's see here, original image, which where this cardiology, cardio problem is there, edema problem is there, mass is there. So the different what do you call, for the different diseases, we can also apply this GrandCam method, because it is going to show the effect where that particular thing has been affected, right? So if you see this one also, so that was the reason GrandCam has been given the GrandCam has become very popular. So my sincere suggestion for you guys is, whenever you are applying the model, so don't consider the accuracy blindly, right? So you just need to work on the remaining things like recalls, precisions, and all those things. Okay, So as the time being, I'm not, I'm able to explain this grand visualization, like how to apply and all those things. But this similar code you can, you can also apply to any type of medical diagnosing system. Okay, so just what you need to do, just say, change the data set and apply your methodology on it. So similarly, you can find the same, you can find the same data, and you'll get the accuracy is similar, and all those things you can get here. So this is how the GrandCam will work. Okay, so just search for documentation, GrandCam documentation that helps you to how to apply the GrandCam on the data set, and how to get the good results that can be you can put it into our result section. That is that is blast our methodologies. That is blast the like result section actually. Okay, so this is how the GrandCam works for our AI model. So basically, when we apply the GrandCam, or not only GrandCam, like there are different types of things also is there. Okay, so GrandCam is best suitable for this medical imaging system. That is the reason I'm focusing on this one. So if at all, if we need any other alternative systems, like you can just go to this Keras model. There you will find this documentation part related to this one. Okay, so this is about the how we are going to apply the AI deep learning system, or AI deep learning system on this medical imaging systems. Okay, so let me go through this section. Just give me a second. Okay, so I'm just let me stop the sharing. Yeah, so I'm just going through this. If at all, if you have any questions, let me know this. So I'm going to the which explainable AI technique is good for the time series and the data such as ECG? For this one, right? So like you can use not only the grant, like okay, so let's say there is an AI technique. What is that name? Just give me a second. Just give me a second. Time series data, or time series data, you can go with what is that? GrandCam is there, and just okay. So you can just combine the LSTM, sir. LSTM, you can take LSTM, use it with LSTM with any hybrid model, like parallel transformations, like based on this one, patch LSTs, or auto encoders, the things, and the Markov models. So these can be best suitable for our AI techniques. Okay, so that is the one thing. And long long models also is there, like which are used for our sensors data and all those things. Okay, na? System. Okay, so just next one. Analyzing the voice. Sir, voice is, again, it's like a signals. So whenever it comes to the signals, just go with this LSTM and hybrid models. Which explainable AI good for time series data such as the ECG? That's what I'm saying. So for the explainable AI, sir, there is a multiple things are there. For example, I have shown you the what is that GrandCam I have shown you. Okay, so there are multiple things also is there. Time being, I have shown you that this one, like GrandCam. Okay, so explainable AI things. If you ask for the only for explainable AI things, Okay. So Grandcom, I said like there is a one more thing that is the silently maps, like integrated gradients, and the attention maps also is there. There is a one thing recently they have given like Lime. Okay, this is also one kind of thing which is Lime, Stamp. Okay, so these are all the different types of you know AI expandable AI things are there. You just work with this Lime that is the best suited for our AI techniques. You can take that one. Bottleneck model. Did anywhere we mention the bottleneck model? Sir? No.
Dear participants, if you have any queries, please post in the chat box.
So actually, bottleneck models are basically related to machine learning, right? Yeah. There is a few things we can also work with the core neural network, which is human understandable and understandable concepts like strips and hilarious and all those things that can be used for this bottleneck models. And there is one more thing that is cognitive psychology, where the core idea is the information like information processing has which is having the limited capacity, like pipes restricting amount of data process. At that time we can go with the bottleneck models. See, simply saying like, if at all, if we have the small kind of data, then you can go with the bottleneck model, which generally will use the dense 21 or an RSS net. Those time we can use these models. You can also use that. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Mostly I have answered all the questions. Okay, just give me a second. I'll share the links for this, whatever the links I have given, right? So I'm sharing that link here in the group. Yeah. So that's like, in this Google Drive, I have shared all the PPT and whatever the code I have. So I have shared in this one. So if at all, if you have any doubts, please let me know. How can we select our own filters in DL? It's very simple, sir. Just define your filter. Okay, define your filter whenever you are calling, whenever you are creating the model, right? At that time, instead of system filter, just replace with your name. That's it. Let me provide you the, okay. Just a second, I'm sharing this. So I have made to publicly available now. Yeah, it is available now. You can directly download and you can get this. Yeah, I hope you're clear on it. Okay.
There are no more questions, sir?
I didn't see any questions in this one.
No, sir. Participants, any more questions, please post in the chat box. I think no further questions. Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for delivering an excellent session on AI-powered diagnosis using real-time medical data. The session provided valuable practical exposure to real-time data acquisition, processing, and AI-based diagnostic workflows.